All right, good evening. Kim Baker here with the Victim Survivor Conqueror Ministry. Come to you on this Tuesday evening. Kind of cool here in West Texas today. But we're going to be getting started with our third week study of verbal and emotional abuse. How it has affected us, okay? Um, Trying to get everything set up here. There we go. All right. All right. Just a couple quick announcements. Get everything set up here and get all my. All right. There. I got my volume turned off. All right. Well, anyway, this is Kim Baker here with the Victim Survivor Conqueror Ministry. This is our third night of looking at and studying about verbal and emotional abuse and how it has affected us. Okay. And as you see on your screen tonight, we're going to start out talking about why do some people seem to continue in one abusive relationship after another. Okay. But before we get into tonight's study, if you would, down on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, where it says vscministry.com, that is our website. When you get a chance, go to our website and you can download this material, study material, or you can download any of our material that we use here in VSC. Okay. Also, if you would, please click one of the buttons. It just lets us know, and silly old Facebook. The more people that respond to different things, the more people that they allow to see things. Okay. So, do that. And if you would, we'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to leave a comment. And without further ado, we'll get into tonight's study. Okay. So, why do you think that some people continue that's been abused or are being abused? Why do you think they continue to stay in an abusive relationship? Okay, why do you think? Why do you think they stay? Well, one of the major reasons is fear. Okay, Isaiah chapter 21 verse 4 says that my heart falters. Fear makes me tremble. Okay, so instilling fear is a powerful weapon that is used to control another person. Okay. Oh, let me go back. Sorry about that. So, one effective strategy that instills fear is the use of demeaning messages, okay, such as verbal threats to inflict physical harm. Okay, so there's verbal threats about inflicting physical harm. Okay, but there's also verbal threats that take place that also will instill fear. Okay. Another fear tactic is to leave or withdraw emotional support. The basic underlying fear, however, is the fear of not having the three basic needs met. Okay. So what are those three needs? The need for love, for significance, and for security. Okay. But the Lord wants us to turn from fear to faith and to trust Him to meet our deepest needs. Okay? Because, and this is not, if you do have the material, this is really not in the material, but I just, the thing that we have to understand is this: is that everybody, it doesn't matter what color you are, what economic part of society you're from. It doesn't matter. Every single person that's ever been born has the need for these three basic needs: the need for love, the need for significance, and the need for security. Okay. And what we need to be able to understand and to grasp is this: is that uh, you know, our husband, our wife, our significant other cannot meet these three needs completely in our life. Okay. Now, is it nice to know that your spouse, that your husband, your wife, your significant other loves you beyond a shadow of a doubt? Yes, absolutely. Is it nice to know that there's someone that thinks that you're significant? Absolutely. And is it nice to know that there's somebody that that cares about your security? Yes. Yes. And if you have a spouse, if you have a wife, a husband, a significant other that is meeting those three needs in your life, praise God for that. Praise God for that. Okay? But but if you are depending on your husband or your wife to meet those needs in your life, you are way off base. Okay? There's only one person that can meet all three of these needs every single day of our life. And that's Jesus Christ. He's the only person that can meet those needs. Okay? Our wife, our husband may try to the best of their ability, but at some point, in one of these three ways, if not all three, they're going to let you down. Okay? I'm going to let my wife down. Now, is that a cop out? No. Well, I'm gonna fail you, so you might as well get ready for it. No, no, we need to look at it just like we do mercy and grace with God. Thank goodness for His mercy and grace. Do we need it every day? Absolutely, we need it every day. But just because there's mercy and grace there doesn't mean that we should be Oh well, I can sin all I want because there's mercy. I can depend. I can call upon God for grace and mercy. No, there comes a time when He's going to say, "No, depart from me. I never knew you." So yeah, it's absolutely feels good to know that somebody has our best interest that loves us beyond a shadow of a doubt. But we need to be looking to Jesus Christ to meet these three needs and not a human being. The tongue that brings healing is a tree of life, but a deceitful tongue crushes the spirit. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 4. Okay? So, what does your tongue bring? Hmm? The majority of the time, what does your tongue bring? Does your tongue bring healing? Or do you have a deceitful tongue that crushes spirits? Okay. All right. So, what is the wrong belief about victims of verbal and emotional abuse? What is, sorry, um, okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. um, Here's the wrong belief. I'm responsible for the way others treat me. No, you're not. I deserve to be mistreated because at the very core, I'm a bad person. No, no. I don't have a choice about being mistreated. I must be doing something wrong or I wouldn't be treated this way. If I just try harder to do what is expected, I could make things better. If I can't, maybe I deserve to be unhappy. Yes, that is absolutely the wrong belief that we should have. Okay. So that's the wrong belief. So now we're going to look at the right belief. So, what do you think the right belief of victims of verbal and emotional abuse should be? Hmm? I realize that I've been living a lie, believing that I am to blame for being mistreated and believing that my happiness will come from a human relationship. Absolutely. Again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be in human relationships, but again, is it good to have a human relationship where we are treated right and that they're concerned about our happiness? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. The next thing we need to realize is the right belief that we need to have is this is that you and I, you and I have a choice about being around anyone who mistreats us. Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to have a false loyalty to anyone who abuses me. No, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. Nor do I want to have the false expectation that if I can just change, the abuse will stop. No. I will no longer live for the approval of others, but will rely on the Lord to meet my inner needs. Okay? And that ought to be every one of us of our prayer. Because my value and worth come from Him. Our value and our worth only comes from God Himself. And He loves me unconditionally. Only the Lord can meet all my needs. So, how does Galatians chapter 1, verse 10 relate to these belief systems? Am I trying to win the approval of men or of God? Or am I trying to please men? If I were still trying to please men, I would not be a servant of Christ. First, we need to look very closely at ourselves and ask ourselves that question: whose approval do I really want? Do I want approval from man, or do I want approval from God? If we're striving to win man's approval, guess what? Not only will they fail us every time, we will fail also. The only way that we will succeed is by putting God first in every aspect of our lives. Every aspect. Okay. Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Is it really possible to have victory over verbal abuse? Granted, there is no magic dust that will diffuse the dynamic of verbal and emotional abuse. Okay. There's just not any. Okay. But with hard, consistent work, progress can be made. Can can change can occur, and victory can be achieved. Okay? I'm a living testament of it. Hey, brother David, glad to have you on there. Okay. Um, those who seek to control or to overpower us with verbal bombardments may not be as strong and self assured as they appear. And I know, you know, from the outs, from looking at them, they appear strong, don't they? And they appear self assured, but they're not always that way. Okay. A lot of them are, a lot of people that do verbally abuse and emotionally abuse, um, they're not quite as self assured as what you think they might be. Okay. All right. If they express inappropriate anger toward you, realize that their assaults are not about you, but it's about them. Okay. Why? Because we're going to look at that here in just a second now. Okay, let's look at that. So, the source of their insensitive attacks is a heart that suffers from emotional defects or deficits originating in the past and from their choice to respond to those deficits by abusing others. Okay, let's go back to our statistics on abuse. Okay, um, statistics show that about 30% of everybody that has been abused will wind up abusing. Okay. Personally, I feel like it's a little higher. It's quite a bit higher than 30%. But, okay. So, and plus, what we have to understand is this is a learned behavior. This has been learned. Okay. Most, I just don't think that most people just set out to start being verbally or emotionally abusive towards people. Okay. I mean, are there just downright mean people? Yeah, they're downright mean people. Okay. But what what might have happened in the past for them to make the choice that they're making today? Additionally, be aware that you yourself may have unresolved anger from abuse in your past that magnifies the abuse you are experiencing now. Okay. So let's say you have suffered verbal and emotional abuse in your past, maybe in early childhood and growing up. Okay. Um, and then you notice that, man, I got a lot of anger. I get mad pretty easy anymore. Well, why? Why do you think you get mad? Okay. And what we have to understand is it may be what you went through in the past. That may be where your anger resides. Okay. So if you want and so if you want to break the cycle of abuse, you definitely can. But it will take work. You probably will not it probably will not happen overnight. Can God do it overnight? Absolutely. Can He do it instantaneously? Absolutely. But most of the time, He doesn't choose to work that way. Okay? But if you will work at it, and part of that work does require you to look back and to honestly look at your life and look at your past and try to figure out where your anger comes from. That's part of the healing process. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling, and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind, compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as in Christ God forgave you. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 and 32. Okay? It does not say if you want to get rid of your bitterness and rage and anger. Nope. It just flat out tells you get rid. Rid yourself of these things. Because you know what? You cannot be kind and compassionate toward one another without getting rid of all the junk at the beginning of this verse. If you've got bitterness, rage, anger, brawling, and slander, you are not going to be kind and compassionate. You have trouble, are you having trouble forgiving someone? We all have had trouble from time to time, hadn't we? But if you're having trouble, I just can't forgive. Why not? Because you still have bitterness, rage, anger, brawling, and slander inside of you. You want God to forgive you? Do you like it when you go to God and you tell him, Father, I'm sorry about this sin in my life. I ask you to forgive me. Do you want God to forgive you? Do you like it when God forgives you? Then why are you not forgiving your brother or sister? We're commanded to. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. How to change the course of an abusive relationship. Okay. After determining your plan of action, because that's first you got to do. You got to determine your plan. You got to come up with a plan. Okay. Number one, state clearly in a conversation or a letter what you are willing to accept and not accept from the abuser. A man of knowledge uses words with restraint, and a man of understanding is even tempered. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 27. Announce the consequence you will enforce if the abuser violates your request. A man reaps what he sows. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Number three, enforce the consequence every single time the abuse occurs. Let your yes be yes and your no, no. James chapter 5, verse 12. Number four, absolutely do not negotiate. When words are many, sin is not absent. But he who holds his tongue is wise. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 19. Never react when your boundary is violated. Only respond. The end of a matter is better than its beginning. Impatience is better than pride. Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verses 8 and 9. Solicit the support of one or two wise, objective people to help you through the process. Listen to advice and accept instruction. In the end, you will be wise. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 20. Okay? So, what can you do? Okay? What we're talking about here is setting boundaries. Okay? Where do you have boundaries in your life? What about marriage? Is there boundaries in marriage? Yeah, absolutely. Are there boundaries driving vehicles, driving a car or truck? Yes, absolutely. Yes. So if God designed marriage and there's boundaries in marriage that we shouldn't cross, then having boundaries in our personal life, what's wrong with that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There needs to be. We need to have that in our life. Okay? So what do? You state clearly and precisely what you will put up with and what you won't put up with. Okay? And then what? You enforce it every single time it takes place. Most parents, most people that are parents, they have certain things that it is an unwritten rule in their house that if you commit such and such act, you're going to get a spanking. Okay? And if your kids understand that if they commit that act, they're going to get a spanking, well, guess what? Every time they commit that act, if you spank them, they know next time. They may still do it, but they still know what's going to come. Okay? The issue is when you tell that child you do such and such, you're going to get a spanking. Well, they go out and they do such and such. Now, if you do that again, what's going to happen? What is that child going to do? They're going to test you. Abusers are going to do the same thing. Okay? You tell them, I will not put up with you, your excessive drinking. Okay? Well, guess what? Every time that there's excessive drinking going on, there needs to be a consequence. Okay? And you state that. You tell them, here's the boundary that you are not to cross. If you cross it, I am going to do blank. And every time that boundary gets crossed, you enforce the consequence. Because with abusers, they're going to try to get you to back off of what you say. But if you enforce it every single time that boundary is crossed, you know what? Eventually, it will stop. Okay? All right. Next Tuesday night, we'll pick back up right here with, can you name some of the ways that we can start educating ourselves? And we're going to go back into kind of what we touched on tonight about setting boundaries. Okay. It's just a repeat. And because this is very, very important that we need to understand. Okay. Because I'm going to tell you, abusers are very good at manipulation, and they will try to get you any way they can. Okay. All right. So again, this just going to kind of go back over a couple things. Down at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen where it says vscministry.com. If you hadn't been to our website in a while, go check it out. If you've never been to our website, go check it out. Okay. You can download this material, or you can download any of the material that we use in our studies. Okay. If you would, please, before you exit out tonight, please hit one of the buttons. Also, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Okay. And Thursday night, tackling the tough stuff. 7:00. We will be starting anger. Our study and discussion on anger. Okay. All right. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and God bless.